On this week on the Comic Blast podcast, we talk about Star Wars Celebration being canceled, the new Star Wars Squadrons gameplay, and the Snyder Cut teaser, as well as a little bit about our favorite DC villains. All of that and more coming up next.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out? Consider this mercy. I am inevitable.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Comic Blast podcast. It's me, Grayson, and with me is Cole. What's up, Cole?
Not much, man. We're just comic blasting the comic blast. I'm here. I'm back at it. But as you guys can see, Keenan is missing today.
Yeah, so I wanted to address this. I'm pretty sure we're cursed.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there is a Comic Blast curse. So this past week I watched the this documentary on Superman, and it was for the back then probably would have been like the 65th anniversary of Superman, and now it's like 80, but this was back when Superman Returns came out, and there was this whole thing in it where they're talking about how the Superman role has a curse, and like, so if you don't know that, like, George Reeve allegedly like killed himself.
Yikes.
And then Christopher Reeve had the tragic accident on his horse. So I don't know, that made me start thinking, and I was like, the past like month we have not been able to have a very consistent Comic Blast episode with all three of us, because to fully preface, Keenan is not here because he is sick at the moment. He started to not feel well last night as we're recording this, so it is just Cole and I this week. But hey, man, I feel like I'm the consistent part. I feel like I've been on every episode, like for the past forever.
For everyone listening to Comic Blast, you can always be sure to appreciate Grayson for his consistency. If the day comes where it will just be Keenan and I on a podcast because Grayson somehow went missing in the woods, you have permission to sign a veto that will take me out of Comic Blast, because I do not think that it will happen.
I wouldn't hold. I mean, you know what? I'm going to take that as a challenge.
Oh yeah,
because I mean, you're not wrong. Like, I will literally, even when I am sick, I will record. Yeah. Like I will just like phase out the sickness and be like, Comic Blast.
I did not. I did not have any sleep last night, and I'm currently going through struggles with obtaining an apartment, and here I am with a nice cup of Joe, ready to do some Comic Blast.
Thankfully, though, from your absence from last week, everything ended up being okay.
Yeah, thankfully,
with your family and whatnot. So, but yeah, with that being said, please send Keenan some well wishes. I feel like every week we have to say, send this person some love. Send this person some love.
To be quite honest, it's been a difficult time for everybody right now. So not only if you guys could send your love to Keenan, all three of us are sending our love to you. Absolutely.
Yes.
And
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah. We are we're all doing the best that we can. We're trying to keep a good range of consistency. Right. And rest assured, next time it will be the three of us.
God willing.
God willing.
And that I also want to address something as well. I know when we brought Cole on to the podcast, we'd mentioned about Comic Blast Gaming, and that is still happening. However, like we said, times have been difficult. Everybody knows this. We're trying our best to get that worked out, and hopefully to be something to upload something to the YouTube channel every 2 weeks or something. Nothing crazy, just because of like how times are right now. Keenan and I are working a lot. Cole is busy with a lot of life stuff and family stuff, so it's It's definitely been challenging, but we are trying our best, and we want to thank all of our patrons for supporting us through this difficult time. First off, I want to mention Jess, our lovely, lovely sponsor. She is a great friend of mine. Please follow her on twitch.tv/female and fatal. She has been killing it over there, and she just deserves all the subs. So go check her out on there, and I believe you can also find her at female and fatal on Instagram. And I'm just very thankful for her as a friend and someone who has consistently supported Comic Blast. I also want to mention Sam, Joseph, Jake, and another new patron, Diego. That is our entire patron rundown. We want to thank every single one of them. And if you want to support us, you can find us patreon.com/comicblast. There are a list of tier rewards there, and as little as $1 a month, you can help support Comic Blast. I know times are tough and everything like that, but we would greatly appreciate it. I also want to plug our social media, which is at comicblast_ on both Instagram and Twitter. We consistently put out updates on there, and even when Keenan is not on the podcast, he is still doing great things over there. You can find me at Schradester8 on both Twitter and Instagram. And Cole, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at @andtheforceswithme, and on Twitter at @thecosmiclotus.
Indeed. This week, actually, we have a lot more news than I thought we did. I was like sitting here and I was like, what are we going to talk about? And then I was going before the show and I was like, oh, yeah, we have a good amount to talk about. And naturally, of course, much of it is Star Wars news, because we are the Star Wars duo.
I absolutely promise. I said this the last time, that when it's not me that like we talk about Star Wars like basically every time that I'm on the podcast, and like, listen,
yeah,
I love Star Wars, you know, and like I will talk about other things, right? I will be more than happy.
We have a few other things.
Yeah. But you know, it happens. There's Star Wars news coming up. That's the gist.
Hey man, Star Wars is hot. Star Wars is sexy. I'm gonna, you know what? I don't know why I said that, but I mean it kind of is.
No, I agree with you, man. I agree with you heavily there.
Dude, Mandalorian is pretty hot.
Anakin
Skywalker, Obi-Wan
Kenobi, hot. Ooh. General Grievous, hot.
Hot.
His cape,
so let's get into
his cyborg. Wow.
Let's get into the most depressing news first of all. Star Wars Celebration 2020 has been canceled.
All right, thanks everybody for listening. Yes, Grayson and I and Keenan, we've all been waiting for this to happen, and like we were so excited for Celebration. We had so many plans, and we were going to have this awesome media coverage for Comic Blast for Star Wars Celebration, which was going to be just one of the best times of our lives. And I was really excited because it's the 40th anniversary of Empire Strikes Back, and you know they had some stuff planned, right? But now, not only is it canceled, but it is also 2 years from now.
Yeah, and so here's the thing. So we all knew it was going to get canceled, but we were all kind of crossing our fingers that it wouldn't, you know?
Yeah, they were waiting on it too.
Yeah, like I know for a fact they were trying their best to make sure it could happen, but I just don't think I think they made the right call.
No, I definitely agree. My heart is just broken though.
Yeah, it's just we needed a win in 2020, and thankfully we have Spider-Man Miles Morales, which you weren't here on last week's episode to talk about, but that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was talking to my dad, and obviously, you know, that Celebration, for anybody who doesn't know, I guess I kind of met Keenan there too, but Celebration was also where I first met Cole in person. We had known each other beforehand, but that was where we had first physically met, and like it's just such an important event to us because of that.
Dude, and you were so tall compared to me at that time. Like I was like, where is he? And then you just there you were, just head poking.
Was Jesse with me too?
Yeah, he was. I spotted you guys because of his red beanie.
The classic.
Yeah, that was that was our first time meeting because did we mention like how we originally started talking? Like, have we said that on the podcast?
I feel like we have mentioned it before. I think it was on the episode with Caboose. We talked about kind of how we had met. But for anybody who doesn't know, we bumped into each other through a mutual friend on Xbox, and we quickly realized that we both loved Star Wars. And within a very short time, we started playing a lot of Star Wars Battlefront together, almost like on a daily or like every other day basis.
Yeah, we played Battlefront, and we started a group chat, and we started sending each other horrible photoshopped memes, like horrible in quality.
Which continue every week.
And it was so consistent. We always had so much to talk about, so much to be excited for, until eventually we made plans to meet up at Star Wars Celebration 2017, and it was one of the best experiences of our lives. If I feel like I could say that for you too.
I would say, absolutely. I would say, I would even talk to my dad, and I would say it's probably like the top 5 moments of my life.
It was
just because of
it was just amazing.
Like, I don't think there was I mean, well, there are some negatives I could say, but like I loved the negatives, or it was like, oh, like I got sick.
Yeah,
the
negatives
no
was
sleep.
the post effects of eating the food there. They had great
poisoning.
pizza, but like a few hours later, you realize, oh, that pizza, I don't know where that pizza was,
Yeah, I think I remember the day that I just threw up, and it was such a good day until we were just sitting there in a panel, and I'm like, I do not feel good, and I just went to the bathroom, and God, it was horrible.
Yeah.
Anyway, people don't need to hear that. So we met at Star Wars Celebration, and it was awesome. Now I'm thinking about it, and because it is so we missed out. There wasn't one for 2018. We missed out last year, which sucked because we wanted to go to Chicago so bad.
We really did.
And we just weren't able to, and then this was going to happen this year. We were like, finally, we get to go. It's right at the beginning of the semester, so we won't, miss out on much school. A little bit, but not too much. We can take a nice vacation. It'll be me, you, Keenan, my dad. It'll be fun. And then now it's canceled, and we were like, I saw the cancellation thing, and I was like, okay, well, next year. And I thought it said 2021.
Yeah, me too.
2022.
I was like,
yeah,
I was like, oh yeah, it'll just be 2021. That'll be fine. And then I reread it, and it said 2022, and I was like, oh, okay. I know why they're doing it. I'm fairly positive that they're like, okay, so COVID is not going to go away this time next year. So, because, Star Wars Celebration,
I think they're just trying to be careful. I don't know if it could be gone by that, by next year, but they don't want to go ahead and plan something
exactly
that they don't know if it's going to happen.
I think they would probably be more okay if it was just a convention where a bunch of Star Wars fans got together. But I think the severity of it is that Star Wars Celebration is also a big part of that is bringing in the original actors. And
yes, of
course, those from the original trilogy and even those from the prequel trilogy, they are getting older, And as statistics suggest, older people are more susceptible to fatalities from the virus. So that to have them show up there just so that they can appease just a couple of nerds in Star Wars cosplays, it's a major
it's just
risk.
Not safe.
It's a major risk.
Yeah, I think of obviously George Lucas and Ian McDiarmid. And even people like Jeremy Bulloch and who played Boba Fett in the original trilogy, just people like that I'm like, it just wouldn't be in the best interest for them. And people don't realize how big Celebration actually is. It's not like San Diego Comic-Con or anything like that, but it's it's a pretty big convention. People from all over the world fly to Celebration.
Oh yeah, it's massive. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's just some of the greatest people you'll ever meet. But I was thinking about it, and I'm like, man, by 2022, that means it'll have been, if we go to 2022, which we're still unsure of, we didn't decide to transfer our tickets yet because we just don't know where we'll be at in 2 years. But that will have been over 5 years since we went to the last Celebration. Which is really depressing.
Wow. So it's been 4 already.
Over 3.
No, that's right, because it was 2017. So it's a little bit over 3 years, and we both already look a lot different than we did from
Oh,
2017. So imagine what we're gonna look like in 2022. I'm really curious
Yeah.
as to how this is gonna pan out. Keenan's
Yeah.
gonna be absolutely ripped by then. You're you're gonna be ripped like a boulder. I'm gonna be so skinny it's like I'm 2-dimensional. You know.
Freaking, what's his face? Mike TV from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory when he gets stretched out.
Comic Blast is not sponsored by Willy Wonka. No, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Hey, Willy Wonka candy, if you want to sponsor us.
Hey, we got your golden tickets right here. If you'll, check out Comic Blast.
But yeah, so we just wanted to put that out there that Celebration is canceled, and we are pretty bummed out about it. But it's for the best interest of the people, and hopefully in 2 years we'll be able to go to that one.
And I will have a fully formed beard.
Is that a bet? Are we putting bets on if you have a beard?
No, I'm never gonna be able to grow a beard, man. I'm gonna be 21 in a month, and it's not happening.
I mean, I can't even grow that. I mean, I can grow sort of a beard, but not.
No, you'll get there. You'll get there. We'll see.
Okay. Thanks for the support. More Star Wars news.
Hey!
Yesterday was EA Play Live, and
yes,
they
it
showed
was.
off the gameplay for Star Wars Squadrons, which was a game that first of all, I don't think we've talked about it yet. It is a game that I just kind of didn't like. I didn't think there was going to be a Star Wars game this year. Like after Battlefront 2, I was like, I don't know when the next Star Wars game is going to be, other than like Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, which comes out in October as well.
Right.
Means we're getting 2 Star Wars games in the same month.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, did you? I'm assuming you saw the gameplay for the game.
I did. Star Wars news rarely surpasses me. I cannot
Yes.
And actually, I'm gonna hear your thoughts first. What do you think about the gameplay?
So before I get into my thoughts, because I was excited for the gameplay reveal, I hopped into Battlefront 2 and started playing. Like I got into arcade and started playing the Starfighter mode. I just got in Kylo Ren's TIE silencer and just started.
So anyway,
guys.
I started blasting.
And I realized I was like, this is fun, but this could be so much better, because it's the more that I think about it, Battlefront 2, like it had a fun Starfighter mode. Nobody played it, and it was kind of difficult to get a grasp on. But I'm like, man, there are so much more intricacies to the Star Wars Starfighter like mythos, I guess. That's not the word, but basically like with how pilots handle their ships. We see it in the movies with all these crazy maneuvers.
Yeah.
And it's like, can we be able to do that? So when they revealed it and they were like, oh yeah, you're able to change the speed to divert power to your shields and either move them from the front to the back, cut the engines to whip around and like shoot a guy, do a 180 and then like cut the engines back on. I was like, no other Starfighter game you can do that. And they show it in some of the like the gameplay, and like the HUD, like everything is like there's no HUD. Like it's all in this cockpit of the Starfighter.
Yep.
And I was like, I'm honestly kind of blown away. Like I'm like, this actually could be really, really good.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. So when it was first announced, right, and this is a time where E3 doesn't exist right now.
Yeah.
And so when they announced it, like I just woke up, I was like, what? Because like there was nothing leading up to it. I was just suddenly, Is it just and like it showed up. And granted, it's not that I dislike them, but I've never been a huge fan of Star Wars, like Starfighter games, specifically.
Right. Yeah.
And like, I love the Starfighter sections in the movies. They're always amazing. The space battles, it's incredible. But whenever I play a Star Wars game, I prefer to be on the ground. That's just me.
Yeah.
But when I saw this, like, so like when I saw the trailer, I was like, okay. Like, all right. And then they showed me the gameplay. And for $40, that actually looks like a lot of fun. You know, like, because, yes, it's just Starfighter stuff. That's absolutely what it is. You're gonna get in a cockpit, and that's the rest of the game for you. But what you said, like, I noticed that too. It's crazy about all the things that you can do in your starfighter. You know, they really upped the ante from how it was in Battlefront 2 2017. Because, like, you know, you get into starfighter and you move the stick and then it goes faster, or like, you roll. But, like, in this game, there's so many different, like, mechanisms and mechanics that you can do to alter to alter the way that you're flying. And that actually looks like a lot of fun. Not to mention, it's also going to be in VR, which I think sounds like a lot of fun, because I just got a VR headset and I'm having a blast. So you bet your bottom dollar I'm gonna get that thing in VR, right?
It's crazy because it's fully VR compatible in like, it's not like a VR mode. Like, the whole thing is VR compatible. It's also entirely crossplay, which means you can play on PC, PS4, Xbox, like, and VR. Everybody can be playing together, which I think is really awesome. And yeah, I'm genuinely surprised, especially for, like, the $40 price tag, and, like, how in detail they're like, oh yeah, you can play as the bombers, the interceptors, the support ships, the
TIE Reaper,
regulars.
That looks so cool.
Well, that's in Rogue One, but this is the first time we get to see it.
Yeah, but it's like the fact that we get to play in it. It looks like so much fun.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna be playing in that thing. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
support
it's gonna
ship?
be dope.
Yes.
I don't know, like, I mean, I feel like I'm going to main a specific class, because you get to, so basically the way the multiplayer works is, we know there is a campaign, and it's set shortly after Return of the Jedi, so this is clearly only in the Age of Rebellion, if you want to call it that, the Galactic Civil War era, which is a little disappointing, but all things considered, like, I'm not too upset by that, because I'm not, like, I do like flying around in, like, you know, prequel era ships and sequel era ships, but I'm like, to be honest, like, when I think of starfighter battles, other than, like, the opening of Revenge of the Sith, I'm like, most of the time I think of the original trilogy. I think of Rogue One, Return of the Jedi.
That's just kind of where it spawned from. I mean,
so I'm down with saying, like, you know, just TIE fighters and X-Wings, and maybe one day they'll do, you know, prequel era content, but I think, considering it's a $40 game and there's no microtransactions, I don't know how long support will be. I'm sure this was basically a way for EA to be like, we need to get a Star Wars game out. Which is a little disappointing.
It absolutely was. We all know it.
Yeah.
I support Motive in their ability to make a game. Like, it looks engaging, it looks fun, but they wouldn't be doing it if EA was like, oh man, we're losing our license. We have to crank something else out, and they better enjoy this, because if they don't, you know, that's it.
Yeah. I mean, so far though, everything looks like it's going to be on the right track. I think if this was a $60 game, I would be a bit more skeptical, but considering they're already, like, leading it with just being $40, I'm very interested. The game looks beautiful, and it looks really fun to play. I can't wait to, like, get a full squad of 5 people, me, you, and a couple other people, and, like, a full squad doing, like, you know, playing very tactically together.
And you know, it's crossplay too, so Keenan can play with us. Yeah,
exactly. It could be a lot of fun, and I'm not gonna lie, like, when I was watching the trailer, not the first trailer, but the gameplay trailer, and Hera pops up, and she starts talking, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of got chills, because I was like, oh my god, I'm like,
it's really cool. But you know that they're doing that thing where it's like, hey, you remember this character? You want to get the game, don't you? Yeah.
About it's that the same thing with Wedge, where they're like, here's Wedge. Yeah. You remember Wedge?
Yeah. I saw him just briefly. I was like, oh, there's that beautiful man's face, just like in Rise of Skywalker. He just shows up.
Look at the size of that thing.
Look at the size of that thing.
But yeah, I'm interested to see more details on the game and, like, more gameplay. I'm hoping there's a beta. Because there's a lot of games coming out this year. And
hopefully Cyberpunk, we'll see.
Yeah, it got delayed to November. But yeah, I'm definitely intrigued by the game, and I want to see more of it. But to be honest, it was a pretty solid gameplay reveal, and I'm definitely intrigued by how in depth they're going with the mechanics and stuff. Because I mean, there's been a lot of Starfighter games in the past, right? That, you know, LucasArts did. There was Jedi Starfighter, there was the X-Wing games, there was the TIE Fighter games, Rogue Squadron, but none of them had the detail of this game.
Yeah.
Of like what they're doing with like the physics and like how like like they really want you to be immersed as a fighter pilot.
Yeah,
and, like,
they've
that's
never
such a
had
big
this
thing
type
for
of
people.
intricacy with being in a starfighter before.
And I think there's definitely going to be a skill curve to it, but to be honest, that is a skill curve that I want to tackle. I want to be like, I just think it would be so cool to flex to people, because people are always like, oh, I'm really good at this game, right?
Yeah.
And most of the time it's like shooters and stuff, or like Smash Brothers, fighting games. I would love to just be the guy to be like, yeah, I'm a god at Star Wars Squadrons. Like, like I am literally like Han Solo can like eat my dirt, like,
Yeah.
like it's just my space dirt. I don't know.
Dude, Han Solo can eat my space dirt. I feel like that was said at least once, just in the canon of Star Wars. That had to have been said
I hope
once.
so. That I really hope. I hope Greedo said it.
Wanna eat my space dirt, Solo? Yeah, well,
We need to move on.
What?
Anyway, Star Wars. I said we need to move on.
Star Wars Squadron,
Anyways.
baby. There's $40.
What? Oh yes, $40. Oh, also another thing that I think is really cool is that they're like the customization of the ships and pilots
Yeah,
and
that
stuff
looks
looks
cool.
really cool. Like I can't wait to just deck out like my TIE bomber or like my interceptor or even my X-wing just to make it look, especially like with the Rebels, because I feel like the Rebels can get away with just having like really cool ships. And I like that you can customize the pilots too to give them like cool
Yeah,
flight jackets.
yeah.
They're not all in just like orange jumpsuits, like because they're the Rebels.
I
you know?
am hoping, though, because they said it's not going to be a live game, so I feel like it's just going to come out and that's going to be it. So I'm
Yeah.
really hoping that it's not like once you get to level 50, you can choose head 1 through 4. You know, like that's
Battlefront.
I hate to say it, but that's kind of how it goes sometimes. And
Yeah.
and like I don't want to be that guy, but while the gameplay trailer looks great, EA is really good at doing that. They are
Oh, yeah.
really good at making something look good, and then it'll come out and you buy it, and then
Both Battlefront games, a couple of the Battlefield games, like, I mean, come on, they're the guys who make literally all of the sports games on the planet. Like, they're like, we got sports, man. It's like, this game sucks.
yeah, you walk up to EA, you're like, so why do you want to make games? And like they just lean in real close. Money. That's
money.
Yeah, that's it. And I am hoping for the best for this game. I really am. So we will see.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jedi Fallen Order was the best, like, was definitely a win.
Oh, it was so
because
good,
it was,
but
like,
all
the
thanks to Respawn.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the thing is like it's all of the developers underneath EA that are the ones that are like, I love you, EA.
Yeah,
like,
let's hope that EA does not purchase WB Games.
Yeah, there's for anybody who doesn't know, there's rumors that some
AT&T is
possible
giving up WB like that. There's a rumor. It's a rumor.
Yeah, WB Games. Yeah, and they may sell it to a couple of different companies. I'm hoping Xbox purchases it because I think it'd be awesome for the competition side of it to have, Marvel be on PlayStation's side and DC be on Xbox's side, or just WB in general. It would give a lot of really good competition, and competition is good for games because it makes them even better, which I think is the main reason why Cyberpunk is getting delayed, because they're seeing how good reviews are for The Last of Us Part 2, which I started playing last night, by the way, and let me tell you, it's crispy. It's a very crispy. But Cyberpunk...
Well, you heard it here, folks. The Last of Us 2 is crispy. It's a very crispy period.
Crispy bacon. Man, we're tired. But I'm hoping Cyberpunk is like that they're going to use all the time they have to make it amazing. Let's see. More Star Wars.
No way. No way. More Star Wars?
I don't even know if you know about this one, to be honest. I don't think I sent this to you.
I'd be very disappointed.
You may be
if
in
I
a
didn't.
shock for this. So there are some very legitimate rumors coming about that a Clone Wars spin-off show is in the works. So that
Really?
it will not be Star Wars The Clone Wars, but it will be about characters from Star Wars: The Clone Wars that are like it's a new show.
Give me General Grievous.
It could be. I mean, it's very possible. The rumor is it could possibly be three things. The first is that it would be about Ahsoka and Rex, which I'm like after Order 66, which at that point I'm like, okay, yeah, you could get away with doing that because it's not Clone. Like people are always like, oh, I want Clone Wars season 8, and I'm like, well, the Clone Wars is done. It's over with, unless you did a season that's like in between like another season, which would just be really confusing, right?
Yeah.
Like if they did a season between like seasons 5 or 6 and 7, it would just be weird. But that's one of the things. The other thing though, which I think would be really interesting, and this is what I think is the most likely scenario, is that the Bad Batch arc in season 7 was actually a backdoor pilot for a new show based around the Bad Batch.
Ooh.
And it would be Echo and the rest of the Bad Batch, and it would be like basically their like, which I'm like, how do you that couldn't be very much a very long show, considering how close it is to Order 66, but even if it was like a season, or like they could maybe make it like 3 seasons, and I think it would still be the same animation style as Clone Wars.
That could be really
and considering
cool.
how beautiful the Bad Batch arc was, like I thought it was so well animated, and season 7 in general just looked gorgeous.
I absolutely agree.
But I loved the Bad Batch, and I thought that arc was such a fun set of episodes that I would love to see more of
I
them.
need me some more Clones content. Please do not let them go, Lucasfilm.
And it makes sense because, there was a lead animator at Lucasfilm Animated who was saying...
Keep liking them, we'll keep making more.
We'll keep making it. And, I think the animated side of Star Wars is something truly special. And I would love to see more content from that, and whatever era it may be. I would be down with the sequel era show. I'm really hoping for the alleged rumor that there's going to be the Ahsoka and Sabine show where they go out and find Ezra and Thrawn.
That would be
to be
cool.
A sequel to Rebels. I think that naturally makes sense.
Yeah, I mean they can't just leave that there. They're gonna do something about it.
Oh, yeah. Dave Filoni has been in his basement, during Corona, just writing this whole thing. I'm kidding. Not actually in his basement. But
I mean, he's apparently, from what I heard, there is a rumor going around that the Lucasfilm animation department is hard at work on something.
Yeah. I mean, we really, they have announced nothing yet so far. So obviously Clone Wars is done. Rebels has been done for a while. Resistance ended after its 2nd season.
Yeah.
So... we don't know what they're doing, but if they're working on, 2 new shows for Disney Plus, if they're working on this Bad Batch show or whatever this Clone Wars spinoff show may be, and then working on this sequel show to Rebels, continuing the story of Ahsoka and Ezra and Sabine and all of that, which I just want so bad because I remember we got into this debate a while back, and you were like, you were saying, I mean, and we still have this thing where we're like, I frequently praise Rebels, and it may be because I've only seen it once, and I remember the highlights of Rebels and being like they were the highest of highs. But yeah, I remember you would always be like, well, there are these moments where they're just really silly, and I was like, yeah, you're right. But I believe you convinced a friend to rewatch it, and you were telling me, you were like, dude, Rebels really is awesome.
Yeah.
They had a lot of awesome moments in that show.
Yeah,
is it as good as Clone Wars? That's debatable, but it's still you can see Dave Filoni hard at work there. But I think if we get a show that's on Disney Plus, that gives them a lot of room for them to not be as limited by the age demographic. Because, listen, all of the kids who watch Clone Wars are definitely grown up. All of the kids who watch Rebels, Rebels ended over 2 years ago.
That's really weird to say.
So it ended in March of 2018. And those kids probably when they started Rebels, because there was 4 seasons of Rebels, I think it started in 2014. Those kids, let's say there was a 8-year-old watching Rebels when it first started. That kid, he or she watched it the entirety of its run. That means they started when they were 8. And by the end of that show, they were 12. Now they're 14. So, and if you put that in perspective, it's yeah, all of the kids who grew up with Clone Wars and Rebels, and even Resistance, which started only like 2 years ago or whatever, like, you know, those kids are like a little bit grown up too. So I think this would allow them to have a show that's fully narrative focused and almost like comparable to something like The Legend of Korra season 1.
Yeah.
Where it's like, where that show, it was like 12 episodes for that first season, and it was incredible. Like, that first season was nothing but perfection.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. It was something else for a grown-up Avatar fan for sure.
Exactly. And I think it would be perfect to have a, you know, 2 show, and maybe they want to have one show that's, you know, a bit more friendly for younger audiences. Maybe that would be the Bad Batch show. I mean, they're both going to be, they're animated, right? They're both going to be fine for younger audiences, but maybe have one that's a bit more, you know, for the kids, you know, and that'd be Bad Batch, to be like, oh, it's an action-packed show about these different clone troopers, and which actually gives a lot of diversity, because I feel like I have to imagine that, you know, kids with disabilities, or like, you know, anything like that, the Bad Batch is kind of representative of them in a way, you know, especially with like Echo, and, you know, how he's lost almost all of his limbs and he's still this awesome clone trooper. I think that would give a really cool perspective on representation. And I never really thought about that until just now, but I actually think that's like really beautiful that they did.
Yeah,
that,
the Bad Batch is, we all know that Dave Filoni he was the apprentice and now he is the master, right? Yeah. And Clone Wars and Rebels have done a lot of things to implement more representation for, you know, like,
absolutely,
yeah, like they brought up more like representation and stuff like that, and you know, I agree with you. I think the Bad Batch is likely, you know, like another way to bring in, you know, people with certain disabilities and showing that they too can be great. Another venue is with Echo. Instead of that being the same thing, it could be, you know, representation of going through great loss and tragedy and losing like metaphorical parts of yourself. In his case, it's literal. And then finding things that he can do great because of it, you know?
Yeah. The only thing that would suck is if they did that and they have this beautiful story and then just Order 66 happens and they just like, man, Order 66 sucks.
Order 66 ruined lives. It ruined families.
Man, I still cry.
Oh, yeah.
Random thing, but I frequently get on TikTok, and most of my TikToks are just Star Wars ones, and
it's a proper feed.
Almost there's a good. Oh, it's great, man. I love it. It's content at its finest. But the worst thing, I don't know if it's the worst thing. Like, I love it, but I get so many TikToks that have the music from the end of Clone Wars Season 7, and every time I hear it, I just want to lay down and cry. Like,
try not to cry.
I'm just sitting there and I'm like, and it also gets even worse because I also get a lot of Avatar: The Last Airbender stuff, and so many of them are leaves from the vine. Yes, and I'm just sitting there like. Just like,
was that the meme I send you? Yeah, with the slamming the fist on the table. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it can be rough, but man, people make some good. I see people put like a ton of artwork and stuff from season 7 of Ahsoka with all the clone helmets, and that
ending episode has been so artistically inspired, and I love it.
It's funny. I remember when we finished that episode, and we called each other, or maybe we texted, and we were just talking about.
Nah, man, we FaceTimed.
We were like, we felt, yeah, and we felt. Oh yeah, that's true. We felt like we had like this empty hole in us. Like, we were just like, we felt like, and we were like. And we thought it was because it was unsatisfying. And the more it's gone on, it's like, I am satisfied about that episode. But like, that was kind of the point. I think Dave Filoni wanted us to feel empty inside.
That's like, the point. Like, it starts off as a happy-go-lucky kid show. But he's like, he looks at all of us. He's like, all right, guys, you know you've seen Revenge of the Sith, right? This ain't going to end well. Yeah. And it's like, that's the point. The ending of the Clone Wars is to dictate the tragedy that takes place, because you see all these good things happen, like these friendships that are built, and like brotherhood from the clones, and Ahsoka becoming her own person and stuff like that. And then it all just crumbles. And then the last shot that you see is Anakin Skywalker, now Darth Vader, like the guy that was just such a wonderful hero in the entirety of the show, walking away from a clone trooper helmet, the symbol of the Republic.
Yeah.
I love Star Wars.
Yeah, I love Star Wars too. Moving on from non-Star Wars news, there was a Snyder Cut teaser, or Zack Snyder's Justice League, as it has been rebranded, but people are still going to
I wish we had a phone a friend feature where you can just get Caboose on the line for like 5 seconds.
Yeah. Hey, Caboose, you want to talk about the Snyder Cut teaser?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, man. No, we got to get Caboose back on an episode soon. I know he wants to talk about it. I actually think, which you're not involved in this because you haven't played The Last of Us Part 1 or Part 2, but we're planning on doing a spoiler cast down the line once Keenan and I and a couple of other people have beat The Last of Us Part 2 and doing an entire episode dedicated to that.
Well, you got to wait for me to finish it then. You said somewhere along the line, so just give me some time. I'll get the games. I'll do it.
I think we're doing it in like 2 weeks to give people plenty of time. So you got some grinding to do, buddy.
So it looks like even if we have an episode with the 3 of us next week, like I'm just gonna be gone the following week.
Yeah, he's like, sorry, Cole is in his hermit hole playing The Last of Us.
Hey guys,
right
welcome
now.
back to Comic Blast. Cole is dead now.
Oh yeah, I have your brother's number. I'm gonna just call your brother and be like, yo, have you checked on Cole? And he's like, yeah, it's starting to smell in there, man.
Oh my god.
Anyway, Snyder Cut tease. I believe it was at this, I don't remember what, this like fandom event thing basically, but this little teaser for the Snyder Cut. And yeah, what were your thoughts on it? Because you just watched it before this, because I wasn't sure you'd seen it.
So I just watched it. And I'm really glad that they decided to go with Lex Luthor's line about the bell already being rung. Because, as much as people, criticized him over that role, I actually kind of liked it because it's grown on me. I rewatched BVS recently, and he is fun to watch. Yeah, like Jesse Eisenberg, you really went for it there, and it came across for me. It was a different character, and I appreciated it. And to hear that line in there, that was really cool. And seeing Wonder Woman walk through this cavern and looking at this tribal like cave painting of Darkseid. That's cool. That's really cool. And then finally, like the establishing shot at the end. All right, I want to see it. Just I'm ready.
I am ready. I am ready for the Justice League to smack down with Darkseid. It's gonna be what I am most excited for. This is such a niche thing, but I am so excited to see his Omega beam from his eyes and what that will look like in live action. Because it's not like this straight laser. It's like this just zigzagged, chaotic laser beam of destruction. Yeah. I hope that is in the movie because it would look. I just want to see Batman in the Batmobile driving evading Darkseid or something, and then the Omega beam just goes and just he just knocks him off. Oh man,
I want to see. I want to see Superman's heat vision, and the Omega lasers colliding. Okay,
collide.
That would be really cool. I don't think that they're just gonna Darkseid's gonna show up. He's gonna go wah, 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 and then Superman comes in and just caves in his face and he explodes. I don't think that's gonna happen. No, I feel like they're gonna duke it out for a little bit and then he just disappears. But it will still be really cool to see because Darkseid is great.
He's sick, man.
He's very underrated in my opinion because you don't see him a lot.
Yeah. Only DC fans that know a good amount about DC know who Darkseid is. Darkseid, sorry Thanos, but he was first.
Yeah, he was.
I'm Darkseid was Thanos before Thanos, and arguably even more evil than Thanos. Because let's be real, Marvel copied a lot. They copied a lot of people.
Yeah.
And literally, they are both these just Titan dudes with like these chiseled like jawlines and like armor.
Yep.
And it's like, I'm bad. I'm gonna F you guys up. And it's like, but Darkseid, inarguably, in my opinion, I love Thanos. I think he's great.
Oh yeah, he's
but I think Darkseid is just cool.
So
like Darkseid always is in this position where his hands are like behind his back, you know, I feel like, where he's just kind of standing there like very calm and collected, and he just like he doesn't have to do anything.
You know he's got a big D energy going on.
Oh yeah.
Like his hands are always behind his back. If you've played Injustice 2, his hands are just behind his back. You jump in the air and you kick, his hands are still behind his back for some reason.
Yeah.
And like,
dude, I forgot Darkseid was in that game.
Yeah, he was a pre-order bonus, and then nobody played as him.
Oh yeah.
Because
really?
yeah. So what I was gonna say is that Thanos, I can actually in some way, shape, or form relate to, because like that's the point. Like his goal, the way that he sees it, is virtuous, right?
Yeah.
But then Darkseid is like, everything is mine. Everything is going to be mine. It's not, you don't see a good reason behind it. He's just like, I am Darkseid, and you are mine. Your planet is mine. This is all mine. And, you know, like, just imagine, you know what I mean? I feel like if it came down to it, I could see Thanos fighting Darkseid because of their quarreling motives, you know?
Yeah.
Like, Thanos could actually go like, all right, hold up. I will deal with you Avenger guys later. If you want to help me out, we can fight Darkseid from this other universe, you know? And then we will finish our fight, you know?
Yeah.
That, and just thinking about that and thinking about how much on a different level Darkseid is than Thanos, if portrayed correctly, he could be supremely more intimidating.
Oh yeah, undoubtedly. I'm excited to see him up close and in person. I'm sure he'll be some CGI guy. I don't know who they're going to get to voice Darkseid. I believe they said, but I have a question for you
Jesse
though.
Eisenberg.
Before we
I am Darkseid, and that is paradoxical.
Oh god, that'd be something
What a
else.
twist.
I don't. He's like, oh wow, you thought he was Lex Luthor? Wrong. He's Darkseid.
Wrong.
I think that would just be even worse.
God's
like,
demons don't come from below or above. They come from Jesse Eisenberg, aka Lex Luthor's cranium.
Okay, so I have a question for you though, because it is known that while you do like Marvel, DC is more of your thing, and we've established this before.
Uh-huh.
What is your favorite DC villain?
Ooh boy.
Not just Batman, just all of DC. I mean, it can be a Batman villain if you so choose.
Oh man, that's honestly, that is tough.
Maybe give me a top 3, because I'm genuinely curious. I feel like I know a few, but I don't know. I'm curious.
So when it comes to DC, I know the most about Batman. Like, I have just heavily invested in Batman. Batman is DC's bread and butter for me, right?
Yeah, the Batman mythos is your thing. For sure.
But you know, there is one villain that just kind of stands out to me, and he is not a Batman. I wouldn't say that he's my favorite, but he is what is currently coming to mind, and that is Black Manta.
Ooh, yeah.
Because he is just so sick. All right. Despite his changing origin stories, Black Manta is awesome. The first guy that came to my mind was Scarecrow, because I have always loved Scarecrow as a kid. Like,
that was my guess.
I just think he is so cool, and the fear toxin aspect, that is great. And I also love Two-Face and Joker, and you know, like, it's just,
you can't go. Joker's
Joker's
like,
a classic, man.
I think Joker is probably, unbiasedly the greatest DC villain, because he is so well
he's
known.
iconic, absolutely iconic.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Someone could know jack about DC, and then you say, who is Joker, and they're like, oh, Joker is like this and this and this and this, you know.
Yeah,
they will immediately know.
Yeah.
Joker
Exactly.
is as iconic as Batman is.
Yeah. then that's kind of the point of it, which is I think is really well done, and it kind of stands out his timelessness.
Yeah.
But for me, so I am a big Superman fan.
Oh yes,
I do love me some Superman. And I do love Batman as well. Batman and Superman are both very, very important to me. So, and to be honest, I also really like The Flash. I got really into The Flash TV show on the CW and got super into the whole intrigue of the Flash universe.
Flash is
at least
great.
like the Flash side of things. When it comes to, I have a lot of favorite DC villains. And I'm going to choose 3 that I don't know if they are my favorite, but they are high up there. All right. So I'm gonna leave the best for last because this is something that I just want so badly.
At your leisure, man.
So yeah. So the first one, my favorite Batman villain of all time, Mr. Freeze.
Why did I not say Mr. Freeze?
Mr. Freeze is great.
Yeah. So let me just preface this. I think I already said it, but I did not sleep at all last night. I am running on coffee.
Yeah.
Grayson has probably
Yeah.
noticed that my eyes are just shutting. Like
I see that. Yes.
Yeah, and I like dealing with summer classes. I am absolutely overworked, and Mr. Freeze did not come to my mind. But he is probably hands down my favorite Batman villain because I can relate to that man on so many levels.
He's so complex, and he's almost borderline not a villain.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't really want to hurt people. He just wants to achieve his goal so that he can, save the woman that he loves.
Love can be one of the
will
most
do whatever
powerful weapons, man.
And in a very dangerous capacity
Yeah.
as well. Clearly with Mr. Freeze. By the way, totally off topic, or not off topic, but related to Mr. Freeze. Why is he not called Dr. Freeze? He's a doctor. He literally is this amazing scientist, and they're like, Mr. Freeze, and you're like, dude, I have a PhD. And he's like, Mr. Oh, no, what?
Yeah, I don't know. They just went with it, right? We're talking about the people that made Batman and then Man-Bat, so it's whatever, man.
It's just like this thing of like you think of all these other villains that are like Doctor blah blah blah, and it's like, why didn't they make Mr. Freeze he's clearly a doctor? Like that's the reason he's so good at all of this science stuff, and he's like literally preserving his wife, and he's a genius, and they're just like, he's Mr. Freeze.
He's Mr.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I love Mr. Freeze.
Oh.
Second up.
Oh, I think I know why.
Oh, go ahead. Why?
Okay, so you know how his whole deal is about Nora, right?
Mm-hmm.
Think about it this way. His entire problem is saving Nora. Mr. and Mrs. Freeze.
Miss Freeze. I see.
All right, we cracked the case. Comic Blast.
Wow, Comic Blast. That's why Dr. Freeze is not Dr. Freeze. It's Mr.
It puts
Freeze
the emphasis on
because
the fact that there is a Mr. and a Mrs.
Yeah. I think one thing that absolutely cemented the fact that Mr. Freeze is a great villain was the Batman film Sub-Zero, which was completely focused on Mr. Freeze. If you've never seen Batman Sub-Zero, it's basically set in the animated universe, and so Paul Dini was in control of that.
Yeah, that was the
and that was
animated
basically
series, right?
right, yeah. And that was basically where they got the template for his origin, because that show was so defining for a ton of different Batman villains.
Harley Quinn?
Harley Quinn was literally
Yeah.
created by it. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that and then the Arkham games just, no pun intended, changed the game, with his character.
Oh, man.
One of my favorite boss fights in any game is Mr. Freeze.
Mr. Freeze.
I love that.
He's so great in the Arkham games. I remember
The DLC for Arkham Knight, I cried.
oh man, I remember playing Arkham City when I was a kid, and when you finish Mr. Freeze's side quest and you get him to Nora, if you talk to him afterwards, he says something like, "She's beautiful, isn't she? She's like a flower frozen in time." And I remember that just that hit me where I live when I was a kid, man. I don't know why, but that just struck me, and like I just wanted to put my hand on his armored shoulder and say, "I'm here for you, buddy."
Yeah.
You know,
it's really cool because in that game, like, you know, he helps out Batman in so many ways, and then like he turns on him when immediately when he's threatening Nora.
Yeah.
And that's like that's his thing. And then they become cool again after that because he's like, all right, like we've backed down on this, you know. And then the DLC from Arkham Knight, like it's just my heart. It's so well done.
If you die in the Arkham Knight side quest with Mr. Freeze while you're working together with him, he says something like, thank you for trying so hard to help me, Batman. I will make sure that your death is not in vain." You know?
Oh, man.
And just Victor Freeze, man. He is... I do not believe that man is insane and should be put in Arkham Asylum. He just is so passionate. Because if he got Nora back, he wouldn't be doing any of this, right?
And we clearly see that, for spoilers for Arkham Knight, in the thing you help him out, and from what I remember, he gets Nora out of the tank, and she's pretty much just like, "What are you doing, Victor? Like, let us die." And I'm pretty sure they die together, right?
So the way that it ends is that she gets forced out of her cryo tank because the place that Mr. Freeze is in is attacked by the Arkham Knight's militia. And she's forced out of the tank because it can't be, like, she can't be sustained. And so she talks to him, and she's like, you know, like, "What are you doing, Victor?" And he's just like, "I've been doing just so much, everything that I can to find a cure to save you. You know, I'm so close." And he said, "I won't let you die." And she just says, "Then just let me live," you know. And she says something like, she says, "With all the time that we have left." And he says, "There won't be much time." And she says something like, "We'll spend it together." And it just ends with them just standing at the front of the ship that they're on, just kind of overlooking like the ice and the sea and stuff like that. And that's the last that you see of them. Yeah. And
I believe this, like, something happens where the entire city gets like turned into, like, becomes snowy because of that.
Mr. Freeze's technology inside his ship ruptures because he can't fix it in time, and there's just this explosion of ice and snow that will stay there for the rest of the game. So,
which is very annoying.
It was so cool when it happened, but like when you're at the end game and you're walking around, you're like, why is it still snowing? Because like it won't rain anymore, right? So
you have to create a new save if you want the raining Gotham City.
Yeah, if you're gonna do the Mr. Freeze thing, do it last.
Yeah.
Like do it when the game is over, and you know it's beautiful when it first happens, but you're like, man, it's in October, you know, right now.
Yeah. Hey, Arkham Knight, great Halloween game.
Oh, absolutely.
Anyway, since we're getting close to the end, I want to put out my last two villains, and I'll try to make it quick. Second runner-up to possibly my favorite is Reverse Flash. I freaking love Reverse Flash. He is so cool. He is so evil. If you have not watched Flashpoint, the animated movie, or read the comic, dude, this guy is one bad mother effer.
Oh, like, he is evil.
He is just so sinister, and I love it. Like, it's one of those things, like, I was talking on another podcast that I do. For anybody who doesn't know, I do another podcast called Rising Action. Recently, we did an episode all about villains. And we were talking about how there's some villains that are just so evil, you know? They're not like, and they have complexities to them, but they are just, like, bad dudes. And, like, General Grievous is one, for example, that you love, you know, where he's like, he's just this bad guy.
No redeeming qualities, but I love him anyway.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of how I feel about Reverse Flash, because he is just like, he just kills everyone. He does not care. He will go back in time and just mess your life up. And one of the coolest things is from the Flash show, and it's, nobody can see me doing this, but when he pulls up his hand and he makes his hand vibrate really fast and just puts it into somebody's heart to just stop it, it is like it is gut-wrenching because there was a moment in season 1 of The Flash where, and season 1 of The Flash is amazing. One of my favorite television shows, or one of my favorite seasons of a television show. I don't watch The Flash anymore because it kind of went downhill, as all CW shows do. I digress. In that first season, there is a moment where Reverse Flash kills a key character in that way, and I remember being devastated. Like, it is, and I was like, I hate you so much, but God, you are such a good villain.
So I just came to this conclusion. I think the reason why we love these types of villains is because this is how it used to be. It used to be He-Man and Skeletor had no complexity. It was just like, I'm evil, He-Man. And, you know, like, that's how the original villain was. Like, I'm evil because I'm evil. But then suddenly, writers are like, villains need to be more complex. And you know, believe me, I love that, especially with Victor Freeze, no doubt. But I think we love the evil because I'm evil because it just hasn't been around as much anymore because villains have just been so complex. And when a guy comes up, he's just like, I'm going to do bad things, period.
I like it when it's attributed to, like, they are a sociopath. Like, they are just, like, they don't care, man. Like, and it's not like that they're being evil for being the sake of evil. It's just they are just like, and that is like you said, we enjoy that too. But like, man, they have no moral code. You know, like they will do whatever it takes to mess up the protagonist's life.
It is chaotic evil. They are just their goal is just to wreak havoc and chaos. Because they love it. Yeah. And there is nothing, like, there is no complexity behind it. It's just, I am going to cause this chaos and I will laugh.
And it's also what's great about those villains is we get to see pretty much, like, so there's always the cliche of, like, there's the hero and then there is the hero, but they are just bad, right? That, like, because their powers are exactly the same and they have, like, you know, their costume is maybe an alteration of it. You know, you've got, for like Ant-Man, there's Yellow Jacket. For like Iron Man, he has like 7 different people that are like,
for Superman, there's
just reverse
Zod.
Iron Man's. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's Zod and there's even Bizarro. Like, there's always the whole like cliche of the opposite. Reverse Flash is like that for the Flash, but he is just even more evil, and like his design is cool because he's got these yellow with these bright red eyes. And, like, he's constantly, like, at least in the Flash TV show, he's always, like, vibrating. Like, and so you can't see him. Like, he is almost like this ghost, this entity. Yeah. That is just haunting you.
Love the way that it's portrayed because the man is a ghost. He's not even supposed to be there.
He will be there, he will do something, and he is just gone. And you're like, what's
happening?
You know?
What's going on?
What's going on? Anyway, love Reverse Flash. Another great DC villain. Lastly, a villain that I so desperately want and need in a Superman movie, in a sequel to Man of Steel with Henry Cavill. It would be so perfect if they approached it in a sci-fi way. That is Brainiac.
Mr. Brainiac.
I think Brainiac is sick.
What he does is just so cool. That's such an interesting like way of doing things, like collecting worlds instead of like Galactus where he's like nom nom. Yeah. You know? That's just really cool. Yeah.
And his like basically how he can just mind control everyone and use them to his will is awesome. Yes. I will say there was a close second in terms of another Superman villain, which I think would work well in maybe like they could have 2 villains and one be more minor, and that is Metallo. I also love Metallo. Yep. Because he is basically like a Terminator with kryptonite, and he is awesome. Yep. I love Metallo. But yeah, I'm really hoping there was a comic book run that they did called Superman Brainiac. And it was a 5-issue series that Jeff Johns wrote. And it's supposed to be kind of like a loose like adaptation of like set in the universe with Christopher Reeve Superman. Like his design looks like him. But Brainiac had such a menacing design in that comic. And I'm like, I would love to... Like, I just think having Brainiac as the next villain, it's a villain we've never seen done before in a Superman movie. We've seen Zod done twice. We've seen Lex Luthor done a multitude of times. We finally have seen Doomsday, although I'd love to see a better version of Doomsday. But, you know, Superman has a lot of really cool villains.
Oh, yeah, he does.
Like Metallo, Brainiac, there's a character named Mongol that I love. He's like basically like this arena boss guy. He's almost kind of like Jabba the Hutt, if Jabba the Hutt was like a tank. like he's just like this muscle man.
I mean, there's a reason, too, why Superman has all of these just utterly unstoppable villains. Because when they created, like, I bet you, when they created the hero, they were like, wow, Superman can just do anything.
Yeah, I was watching that documentary, and they were saying, they were like, it got to a point where it was hard to make stories for Superman because nobody can beat him.
How do you
literally
stop him?
blow out a star with his breath? Like, he can fly like Mach 10. Like, you know, it's like crazy. So, and I think the ultimate goal would be Brainiac would be the heart of Superman stories is that they don't necessarily threaten Superman's life. They threaten the lives around Superman, and he has to rush to be able to save those lives.
Yeah,
you know?
one of his biggest problems is not being able to save everybody at once. Mm-hmm. And like that is definitely shown in BVS. Like he hurts from that, especially from like that scene in the scene in the courthouse where he's just standing amongst the fire and like
he didn't detect it soon enough, you know. That's the tragedy of Superman is like, can he have a normal life? You know, like he's gonna outlive everybody, and it's just, listen, anybody who says Superman isn't a complex character, you're wrong. You're stupid. Like he is. Superman has so much complexity, but I think if Brainiac came along as a villain and was threatening to, you know, mind control and wipe away the minds of those that he loves, and like, you know, Superman is trying to find a way to stop it, like it could be awesome.
What if there's a scene
just
where
such a
like he
sci-fi
mind
way.
controls Lois Lane, you know?
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
Oof.
I'm ready for a Superman sequel, and listen,
I am ready for the DCEU to continue.
Yeah. Listen, man, this coming full circle, the Snyder Cut thing, very excited. I'm hyped to see Darkseid, and like we said in the reveal for the Snyder Cut, maybe this will help propel the DCEU into a much better and brighter future. So yeah, that's about everything for this episode. Of course, you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at comicblast_ and patreon.com/comicblast if you want to throw us a quick buck and help support us. Find me at Schradester8 on both Twitter and Instagram, and Cole at And the Force is With Me on Instagram, and at The Cosmic Lotus on Twitter. You can also find Keenan at Keenan Creates on Twitter and Instagram. He's not here with us right now, but again, please send him some well wishes as he is not feeling too great. And hopefully, if everything goes well, we will all three be on the next episode all together again, and I am very excited for that moment because it's been a rough patch for Comic Blast.
Yeah, so you know, again, we apologize for the slight inconsistencies that we've had. You know, it's a difficult time for us right now, and you know, to flip it around, we also understand that it's a difficult time for everybody. So, you know, you guys just stay safe out there, and you know, just make sure to be all right, okay?
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. I'm glad we had this discussion on DC villains because that was totally unplanned, but I'm like, that was such a fun discussion, and I'm glad we had that. Sure. Yeah, I like whenever we talk about DC stuff, I always get into like a DC mood where I'm like, ooh, like I just want to like read DC comics and play Batman and like all of this stuff. You know?
I'm in a big mood to just pick up a Batman comic and then immediately fall asleep because I am dead tired.
Yeah. Cole needs some sleep. I would love to take a nap here in a moment, but I have work very shortly and I got to get this episode out for you guys. So with all that being said, Shazam!